Hey everyone, Tony Too Much here, and today we are installing speakers into the rear pillars of the Mighty Max. And I went ahead and got myself a set of JBL 621s based off of basically no research whatsoever. Mid-priced speakers from JBL, I assume that they're pretty good. The grills were originally black, but I like the idea of having them a little bit better paint matched to the interior of the truck, so I painted the grill and the surround white. I guess that's a tweeter probably. Doesn't seem like it's going to come out easy. I'm leaving that one alone because I don't want to risk painting that. There is speaker bits under there as well. To do so, what we're going to end up needing to do is running new wiring. We're going to end up pulling the bench out of the truck here soon. I did already pull the radio. That's going to show up a little bit later in the video. And then right where you can see Mojo Jojo down here, there we go. We're going to end up cutting a hole into this panel and inserting the speaker there. So let's get started, see how it goes. So the first step in theory is going to be pulling the bench seat. It's going to give me room back here to drill the holes and get everything inserted, and then of course run cabling. I'm going to have to pull these trim panels as well. The seat has 4 bolts, one on each front corner and one on each back corner. And prepare by getting any of this stuff out of the way first. But right back down here. So I'm going to pull those 4. It is possible to get the bench seat out as a one-person job. I am going to phone a friend and get a hand on that part of it. Probably won't happen on video. But basically, once it's loosened, fold the seat forward as much as you can, the back of the seat forward, and then just wiggle it out through one of the doorways. So I'm going to get started on that real quick. I'm going to loosen those 4 bolts, get the seat pulled out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so bench is out. I've gone ahead to pull the trim on the bottom of the door. That's just 4 Phillips screws, and then just the whole trim piece pops up. That's right here. I've gotten the kicker panel. There's one single Phillips in the center, and then it kind of pops out from there. That one is missing the bottom one, but it actually also has a Phillips up top where the hood release is, if you can see that over yonder. And then next is going to be the seatbelt cover. This one I was already able to get pulled off. This is something just you want to be careful with overall. You always want to be extra careful when it comes to dealing with old plastic. It can become brittle, it can break, and unfortunately you just can't go to the parts store, auto store, or anything like that to just pick up new parts. You are sourcing eBay or junkyards or what have you. With these, there are body push pins, interior trim, very standard if you ever pulled one of those apart. So I popped those 2 out, and then on the bottom, or on the top side, sorry, are 2 additional pins. It looks like these actually popped out easier. I was looking if I needed to lift and raise, I could feel this opening down at the bottom, but they popped out this way better than trying to pop out the other way. So just real careful, grab it and pull it. Let's see if I can actually show you real quick with my tool. It's really helpful to get some interior trim tools. It's a lot easier than trying to finagle with, flatheads and whatever other prying tools you may need. So in this case, you just kind of locate it. It's actually easier with this side. And just pry out. Again, you want to be a little cautious, but it is going to just kind of pop out of place. I don't know if I'll be able to do it one-handed while I'm filming. There we go. So there's one out. This one over here was a little bit trickier because I don't really have the room to pry, so I'm just kind of pulling. And that one popped out as well. There you go. There's those 2. And then for getting the top part out, I'm just going to kind of real gently pop out. And then it comes out in your hands. Now I have access down here so you can see where all the wiring goes. We're going to end up using this gasket. We're going to run the wires down along with these wires for the speakers. And then get them routed up into our hole up here. Once the hole is in here, I'm hoping I'll be able to just kind of reach down and grab them. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get them fed through quite yet, so we'll kind of figure that out together. In theory, you could pull the whole carpet, especially depending on how advanced you're getting with the wiring. In my case, it is not going to be tremendously advanced, so I'm not going to bother pulling the carpet. With all these trim panels removed, I'm able to get up and under it enough that I can run the wiring along this factory channeling. I'll run it through all these little bits that'll help keep it a little bit more protected. and we'll go from there. Quick correction as well. I said there's a Phillips screw up top. There's actually two. There's one up front and one behind. Let's see if I can get in there one-handed while trying to film. This part might be boring. We'll trim this out. But if I just set this here for a second. There you go. Slide this, just kind of set it gently out of the way. Slide this out of the way. And now we have access to run the cables. We can get back behind the carpet there. From the radio, over, down, along the channels, etc. All right, one mistake that I've made that involved not planning properly is I thought 12 feet worth of speaker wire would be more than enough for both sides. So I ordered 12 feet, cut it in half. Now I have 6 feet, and it is not enough to reach from the center console around to the new speaker location. So I'm going to need to run out and grab more speaker wire. I think what I will do, just to try and stay productive, since I don't want to leave yet and everything's kind of out and about in a mess, is I'm going to work on marking and possibly even start drilling for the mounting holes, kind of get that part out of the way, so at least I can remain productive right now. And then the speaker part, or the wiring part, that'll come shortly after. I'll just have to get out to the store and try and find some speaker wire local. For marking the holes, both for drilling the mounting holes as well as the hole for the speaker itself, the box came with this handy dandy little template. I'm going to get this part punched out in a moment here, but basically we'll end up lining this up against the inside. Probably going to try and this is also, you could remove this, or you could also just kind of give yourself a bunch of slack and move it out of the way. I think that's going to be the easier part for now, since I'm not ready to remove the seatbelt yet. And then this will end up lined up here. I'd read online 6.5 will fit, and it looks like it just barely will. It may not be the flushest, prettiest fit, but I think it'll get the job done anyways. I think I'm still going to be happy with it. So for this side, I am going to try and carefully remove my Mojo sticker, see if I can move them up top and get a little heat on that, just a little hair dryer or something, peel them off carefully. Worst case, he rips and I get another one. But that'll be it. We'll cut this out, mark all my holes, and then look into what cutting tools I have to properly make the big round hole. I might just use a jigsaw maybe, but I don't know how deep that's going to be. So we'll just start kind of experimenting with some things. Let's get the sticker out of the way first. All right, so I had to make a quick run out to Home Depot to get the wire and then a hole saw, make my life easier. I did try the Dremel briefly. You can see a couple scrape marks in there. Issue with that was that just the Dremel's getting too cumbersome, and the cutting wheel I had was cutting down or wearing out super fast, which made the angles even more awkward. Now they call for a 5.5-inch hole. I was only able to find a 5-inch hole saw. I think it's going to be maybe just enough, maybe not. I'm going to just go ahead and put the hole in there, and then if I end up having to trim that last little bit, that might end up being a little bit easier once I've got an initial pilot hole started, hopefully. The only other thing I did was I took a flat edge and made a cross pattern between my mounting holes, so that I knew roughly where the dead center was, and then I used a hammer and a small punch to make an indentation right there where I need the center to be. So now I can get this lined up and kind of see through the holes a little bit, so I can see where my bit's actually going to get started, and then start drilling from there. I'm not going to try to do this one-handed because I'm smarter than that, believe it or not. So I'm going to just pause the video. Maybe I'll find a way to set it up in a good angle. We'll see how this goes. One more important note. This makes a ginormous mess. Well, you can see all the metal bits on me. So have a vacuum ready, or maybe pull your carpet up so you don't have to deal with this. And then, of course, always wear safety goggles. So there's the speaker, test fitted into position. Looking all right. It's not quite sitting as flat as I want it to, and that's because my hole isn't quite the right diameter. So I think maybe with the Dremel, I can round that out a little bit. It's sharper than hell anyways, so I'm definitely going to want to soften that up some. I do have a foam backing that I'm going to be putting on as well that will... It's not going to sit 100% flush because of that anyways, but we still want to get a little bit closer than... See if I can get that in there. Can't quite see, but you can see that little bit of space in between there. So we're going to try and clean that up a little bit and see if we can get these to sit a little bit better. Sanding down the edge a little bit, we are now looking as flush as I'm happy with. Again, keep in mind that I'm going to have that foam backing on there as well. We'll actually test fit that in just a second here. I'm also going to take a break to try and vacuum that up. Wish me luck. And then we'll move on to the other side, see if we can drill a slightly better hole. And actually, while we're sitting here, let's take a look at fitting the other two components as well. So this will lay over top. So the outer ring is slightly larger because of this lip right here, but I think it's still going to sit well enough. I'm happy overall. And then I'm going to just eyeball that a little bit just for the sake of looking. And that's how it's going to end up looking right there. I think that's pretty darn cool. Anybody who says online that 6.5 will fit is technically correct. A 6 or 5.5, 5, whatever, I don't even know what other sizes they come in. But a touch smaller would probably fit a touch better. But nevertheless, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And hopefully my wiring goes according to plan once I get to that point. Can't wait to see what these things actually sound like. That side is still blank right now, so we'll be cutting that next. But that's going to be pretty cool. So the test fit with the boom mat is good. And so that definitely adds some thickness. I'm happy with that overall. The other thing as well, set this somewhere safe. I think the main reason why they wanted the whole diameter that they want is because of the little clips that they include. And if you notice right now, those don't make it to, oops, sorry, there you go. These do not make it to the hole, they don't reach. I've got one set a size bigger that's that much closer. But instead of trying to round out the entirety of the hole, I think what I'm going to do is basically just cut out notches so that I can slide these a little further up to get them lined up just right with that mounting hole. That'll save me a little bit of effort. All right, so here's what I was talking about with cutting some grooves out. You can see now that these clips are actually lining up with my mount holes, or at least the markings of. I haven't actually drilled the holes yet because I want to try and make sure that I've got everything as centered as possible, but slide this in place. Yeah, see, we got to I have to tweak those ever so slightly, but actually no, I think they're pretty darn good right where they sit. But now I just got to drill the holes for them. I'm going to make final markings with the speaker, just kind of straight through the hole. I'm going to move the clips out of the way, final markings with the speaker holes, and then drill those, put the clips back in place, and then do a test fit. All right, there we go. Screws and clips are in place. Speaker is roughly mounted. Obviously not wired up yet, that's the next step. But that's looking pretty darn good. I think I'm gonna go grab one of the grills real quick. Oh. Careful crouching through your truck, you might hit your back. Oh. Roughly put that in place. Sorry, hard to do one-handed. There you go. A little better because the screws are in the holes where the surround is supposed to mount. But there we go. Now we have one speaker mocked up. Got to finish the clips for that one. And then once that's mocked up properly, then we get into the hard part for me, which is wiring. Some people may consider wiring the easy part and all this cutting and drilling and measuring the difficult part. but the cutting and measuring is the part that I've actually got some level of experience with. Wiring, not as much. So that will be interesting. Let's see how it goes. So to remove the trim panel, there are 4 screws. I've already popped off a couple things here. The temperature control knobs, you can see those just slide on and off. You just pull those gently. And then there are screws. There's going to be one here, one here. There's supposed to be one here, although mine is missing it. And then in the glove box, there's one here. Then you are supposed to pry along the top half here to pop it out from the clips and then lift up. I don't know if I'll be able to set my phone in a good angle because I came ill prepared. We'll see. Good enough. This one has already been real cracked and repaired. I've got cracks and super glued cracks all over the place, so I'm going to be extra gentle with this process just because I want to be slow and steady. There's already cracks from over here, so I'm not sure exactly where, there we go, the clips are. So just real gentle. You can see that one sounds like it's going to crack. So I'm going to go over on this side. I'm also kind of just gently pulling here at the same time. Quick up close so you can see. There you go. Well, I guess the up close ain't going to help. I just got to pull this thing out. So you just got to keep wiggling and shimmying. Slide and tilt out. And there we go. There is my radio. In this case, I was able to just unplug the main plug. That's been spliced in. Looks like that. Could unplug whatever's going on with all those. And then their speakers are not set up to be separately plugged, which is okay. Those are going into the factory dash speakers, which are little 4-inch corner speakers under there. Supposedly those have been replaced. I never actually looked under the cover. Maybe I'll get around to that. But we've at least got these two that are for speakers. So again, I just got to figure out if I need to and actually look this part up first. Okay, so full disclosure, I just consulted another YouTuber called the 12 Volters that did a brief explanation of the colors. Since everything's kind of already wired, I'm just looking to tie into things. Basically, the pairs are speaker wires. One is a solid color, and that's positive. The other is striped, and that is negative. And then each one's designated for, rear left, rear right, front left, front right, etc. So now I got to break out my tools so that I can start cutting and splicing those with the speaker wire that I bought. Okay, as mentioned previously, wiring is not my forte. I've done wiring on all kinds of various things before. I've just never been particularly knowledgeable or comfortable about it. I always kind of wing it or learn as I go. I got my speakers from Crutchfield. They included this installation kit. This supposedly plugs directly into factory wiring, no cut style, but I don't have factory wiring there. I run it new. So I'm going to trim them off since they already have the nice size spade connectors there for plugging into the back of the speakers. I'm going to cut those off and then butt connector them to the wire I bought. I got 18 gauge. This appears to be 18 gauge. Looks like it's about the same. Sorry. And then I think what's coming off of the head unit is like 20 gauge. It's actually a little bit smaller. Pretty sure that's not an issue. We'll find out the hard way. So basically, brief amount of internet told me that the copper side is typically used to be the positive, so we'll mate that up to my positive wire. And then silver is negative, so I'm going to connect those. And then I reckon I'm just going to run this up to the dash. Figure out how much length I need. This is 25 feet this time around, so it better be enough for me. So I'm going to think actually what I'll do is I'll try mapping some out in the truck first. I'm going to just kind of, maybe even tape it in place and then run it out, over, down, along, blah, 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 up to the speaker hole before I actually start making any connections, just to play it on the safe side. I will check in as that goes along. All right, so there's one installed. Cable's running down, going through the grommet. I put a slit in the grommet to get the cable through because the other end of it was very tight. Doesn't really look like it was adaptable to more hardware going through. So put a slit in that, ran the wire down along the onto the factory channeling, up that way, all along. There's a rat's nest of wiring from the previous owner, whatever they've done. I'll clean that up one of these days. Up and under, and then into my connectors. I haven't cleaned anything up quite yet, but they're there for now. So next is going to be the purple. I mentioned earlier, according to the video I saw, green is the rear left and purple is the rear right. Hopefully that's correct, because that's how I'm wiring it up. So now what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I have anywhere I can hold the phone to really show this, but basically run my speaker wire up through the dashboard, through some of the holes that you can see back there. Kind of put it in place for the time being, just kind of sitting there as I run it along, down along here, up under the carpet. Doesn't look like I have any of the fancy channeling, so this one might just have to be on the ground, or maybe I'll slip under these if I can. And then into this grommet, cut another slit for that, up through there, and try and wire that one up. And at that point, I should be able to at least plug the radio in to turn the key and see if I've messed anything up. So we'll check in at that point. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So here's my visual. Wire sitting there. It's going back behind that ducting. Kind of run along here. I'll end up, you can see there's already wires there zip tied. We'll see about cleaning up that red wire one of these days. But otherwise, come over this way. And we'll pull that a little bit more taut once it's hooked up there. Down along, we got this little factory wire holder there. Come along the frame, that needs to be vacuumed. I was able to get under these supports for the bench, so that's nice. Here is the grommet, and like I said, I just kind of cut a slit into the grommet so it can go up into the hole. Whoop, and then I just dropped it. So reach in here. If you are doing this, please be exceptionally careful. We just cut a whole bunch of sheet metal, and that is very sharp. So I don't know why I can't. Oh, there it is. There we go. I'll leave that dangling for a minute while I get my connections hooked up. One last thing before I plug in the radio. So these little protectors, they supposedly help with sound and mostly like dirt and grime waterproofing for the speakers, especially since they're going into a non-factory place. They do say to cut a hole in the bottom so you can still take advantage of good bass and all that. They're very soft foam, so that's literally just put a little snip in it. And I don't know how much you're actually supposed to cut out, but I want to make sure I don't lose too much in the ways of sound. So I'm cutting out a big chunk of the bottom here, and it snips up real easy, like bam. So we got that. And then the other thing I did is, since these aren't going like back behind, hidden behind anything, I just kind of slapped them on here, and I am tracing the outside with the scissors to get rid of some of the excess material here. Probably should have done that before I cut the hole, because now it's kind of flimsy. But this way, once I get the grill and the surround and everything like that in place, it should go more or less hidden. And then also I took a poker, got it lined up more or less how I think it's going to be for the bottom, and then just kind of took that poker and poke it through the foam right at my mount holes, so that way I don't need to try and like fight that too much as I'm trying to put the screws into place and everything. Seemed to work well enough on the first one as far as getting them tested. The other part of what I did is I kind of lined up the screws into position first. Let's see, so we're going to do just a top and a bottom. Can't actually see what I'm doing here. There you go. So I'm just kind of feeding the screw through the mount hole and through the foam, so now it's in position to start, so that way when I go to line it up, I'm not like trying to screw through the material. I've actually got it all kind of pre-staged and everything. Didn't even make my last connection here. So I got my last two bits of cable that I snipped, and then I got my cable hanging out. So this is my negative, so we're going to the silver. Get my little butt connector. Make sure I got my tools nearby. got a lot of respect for electricians. I don't know how they do this stuff, especially I'm going to end up trying to hold it with one hand and work the tool with the other. I could really use a third or even a fourth hand, so shout out to electricians who do this stuff on the regular. Tool walking a little bit. These pliers are also kind of stiff. I don't know if that's normal or not, but makes it a little bit trickier to kind of hold and operate at the same time. Probably not even getting that in the camera view. There we go. Tight. I'm not going to yank on it because I don't want to risk messing that up. But that seems strong enough to be holding. So I get my last two butt connectors. Pardon if you can see that I'm dripping sweat. It is hotter than Satan's anus out here. And stay hydrated. I got my water over on the workbench. I'm going to grab some of that as I grab my radio. But bam and bam. Alright, that's tight. Now these are heat shrink. I'm obviously not heating them up yet, just because I want to get a little bit further along with my process here. And also, now that I've fed the screws through, I actually need this out of the way so I can access the ports a little bit better. So I'm going to set this down out of the way. Hateful out today, I tell you what. So we're going to slide that there for right now, tucked out of the way. Now with these, it's convenient. The positive and negative are different sizes, so you can't mess that up. And if you do, I'm impressed. But positive goes on positive, negative goes on negative. And the real question is, what am I going to play for the first test? I don't know how much I can even show because I don't want YouTube coming after me for royalties or anything. It's not like I'm ever going to make money off of these. I don't even know if anybody's ever going to watch this video. But nevertheless, we'll try and choose something that won't get me in trouble. So feed this back through my pilot hole there. This one through the pilot hole there. Try really hard not to touch the speaker part. I don't know what you call the material that they use for that. But it is soft, it's squishy, and I feel like if I mess with it too much or touch it too much, it's going to damage it. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I'm not willing to take those chances. So right now we're just going to throw 2 screws in, like I did on the other side, just so I can have these loaded in. And now, almost, there we go. Now I have 2 new speakers wired up, and all that's left to do before finalizing everything is to plug the head unit in, turn the key, try and crank some tunes, and hopefully they sound good. Let's find out. And we have music! Hell yeah! Oh, I'm so happy. So, not like I took anything to compare to beginning, for the beginning. Again, we got the 2 little 4-inch speakers over there, and now we got 2 6.5-inch speakers, and I'm happy. This should be very nice. Hell yeah. Alright, we are all back together. Speakers in place. Looking good. I'm happy with those. Couple lessons learned. I think for starters, definitely make sure you measure how much wiring you need. That was kind of annoying to have to make that run in the middle of it. So take some measurements, figure out how much wire you need ahead of time. Moving the carpet, especially when doing the drilling and the cutting and everything like that, would have helped a lot. If you got a good shop vac, it might not be so bad. My shop vac's kind of cheap, so that was annoying trying to get that all vacuumed back up again. Yeah, really not a bad project other than that. You know, a lot of unknowns that I went into there, but it was pretty cool. And the sound quality, definitely worth it. Hearing, you know, having the speaker right here at highway speeds with the windows down makes a massive difference as compared to just these, you know, like I said, those little 4-inch speakers here. Supposedly they were upgraded at one point. I think I may still take a stab at replacing those with something, maybe instead of JBLs in 4-inch, if I can find them just to match, why not upgrade those too? But overall, pretty darn easy install, all considered, and hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.